what are you going to receive? What traditions, what goods do we want to give to our children? And I think that it's something that we just don't think about as a culture, culturally speaking.
Sure.
And I think that means we don't have a culture. If there's nothing to be handed on, then there is no culture. It's just like a blank plate, or I don't know what it is, but it's not a culture.
Father Morey, welcome to the show.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good to be here.
It's great to be out here at Clear Creek. I hear that there is some news happening. There's not a whole lot of breaking news that happens at Clear Creek Abbey, but I hear that there is some breaking news.
Well, we're hoping to do groundbreaking if we can continue our fundraising sufficiently. That would finish out the monastery. That's probably one thing we need to do before we can make a foundation. We just got a lot of monks.
Which is a good problem to have.
It's the best problem to have.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, but that's not what I was talking about.
But out of all of those monks, you were just recently named prior. Is that the right way to say it?
Yes, the prior. I was the sub-prior. That would be the number 3 in the monastery. Every 3 years, there's what's called the deposition of charges. And Father Abbot, in a single shot, calls all the monks together and deposes everybody. Fires everyone in the monastery. That's prior, sub-prior, cellarer, guest master.
What's a cellarer?
He's in charge of
the cellar?
Of the money, where the stuff's stored.
Okay, all right.
So he oversees.
You guys have just the coolest names for all these stuff.
Well, you got to think of the Middle Ages. Where you store your stuff is in the cellar.
Sure.
So the one who's in charge of the stuff in the cellar is the cellarer.
Yeah.
And so he's in charge of, the real estate deals and buying and selling cars and whatnot, the bank accounts. But that's different than the treasurer. Okay. The treasurer is a different job. The treasurer is not in charge of the money. He's in charge of the relics.
Nice.
Because
way better.
Way better. Because the only thing that's going to survive the fire on the last day are the bodies of the saints.
Yes.
Everything else, the real estate, the cars, the bank accounts, that all goes up in smoke along with everything else.
Right.
Even with our building, if our building lasts 1,000 years, please God, or it lasts till the end of time, it will not survive the fire on the last day.
Yeah.
But the first-class relics, those are the bodies of the saints. They're rising. So the one in charge of the relics are the treasurer. That's the treasurer. It's not the money. The money is money.
That's not treasure.
That's not treasure.
Yeah.
The saints. They're the saints of the treasure.
But still, if this was like a corporation, they would call this the triannual title reassignment. But you're no, this is the deposition of charges.
Yeah.
It's sounds awesome.
So, everyone gets fired, and then about 24, 36 hours later, Father Abbot calls everyone back together, and then appoints, reappoints, does what he wants. So, with Father Bethel and myself, Father Bethel was the prior, I was the sub-prior. Father Abbot just took us and switched us.
Okay.
And that's when Father Nesbitt was made head guest master. So you deal with Father Nesbitt.
I didn't know that either.
He was assistant guest master until this deposition of charges, and now he's the number 1.
So is Father Bachman, did they switch places?
Kind of. Father Bachman's still helping out.
Okay.
But Father Nesbitt's in charge now. That's why you see him more.
Huge level of upheaval for,
revolutionary.
As much as things stay the same around here day to day. This is big. I mean,
yeah. Every 3 years.
Crazy. Just insane.
Yeah.
So
you can see all the gray hair I've gotten since you were last here. Yeah. And that wasn't that long ago you were here.
That's what I was going to ask. So we're here at the 9th Annual Catholic Man Campout here at Clear Creek Abbey. But Dave and I also have along with Eric Graylis and a couple others, we have a tradition of coming in January. And one of the times that we were there, you gave a talk to us. We said, this is probably 10 years ago. Okay. And we asked you, as fathers, what would you suggest us do to help our family? Do you remember us asking you this?
You do not have to say yes.
I don't remember that, but
okay.
There are things fathers still have to do 10 years later.
Sure. So we asked you that, and you answered as a group, to fast for your family 1 time a week.
A group of men did that one time. We used to have a group of men come together as early on, 20 years ago. And they said, it's tough being a husband and father these days. We really don't know how to do it very well. Let's try fasting 1 day a week as a group, so we're all mutually supporting each other for our families. They picked Wednesday. And pretty soon they all reported an increased goodness in their families, improvement.
And we've been doing the same thing. Our good friend David Biddle sends out an email to our whole group every Wednesday. We fast together for our families. That sounds maybe odd to the secular world.
Very odd. They'll be all in your favor if you're fasting in order to fit into those jeans again for your high school reunion.
Yeah.
Then you're okay. It makes perfect sense.
Right.
But if you fast for spiritual reasons, yeah, you've got deep psychological problems, obviously.
Yeah, and you need prescription medication
to
fix it or something.
Right.
Why is that?
Because we only believe in what we can see. And that's a problem. That's the opposite of faith. We're saved by faith.
Yeah. When in fact the things that we can't see are more real than what we can.
That's something fathers need to realize too, is that the father, as the head of his family, has to protect and provide for his family. But a lot of fathers think of that in purely, or at least firstly, material and financial terms, whereas that's false. That's necessary, but it's secondary. The primary protection providing you have to do for your family is spiritual. You're the front line of defense against the demons for your wife and kids. The father, as the head of his family, is kind of like the roof on the house. And as long as the roof stays intact, everything inside stays more or less dry and okay. Mm-hmm. Which is why the demons are always going after the father, because they're trying to rip the roof off the house, or at least punch holes in it. And that's how you get water in. And so the father needs to realize, yeah, we're under attack, and maybe me first. And so he's going to have to step up and start living in a world where he can't see, at least with his natural eyes.
Yes. Yeah. So our group, we also picked Wednesday for our fasting, and I just will echo what this other group said to you. It's made a huge difference. And I after you do it for a while, your ability to do it well, obviously you get better at fasting.
It's like you develop a virtue.
In the beginning, I was probably sinning, just from being so weak and bad at it.
Yeah.
Father, I'll tell you, as his best friend, he was sinning.
Well,
I will not confirm or deny.
Well, it's kind of like any other muscle, All those young guys are doing like this all day long and they're only developing their thumb muscles.
Yes.
The rest of their arms are atrophying. That's not what the young male body is designed for. Mm-hmm. The young male body is not, or the old male body too, is not designed for atrophy. We have to flex our fasting muscles too. That goes for prayer too. How do you get stronger? Push-ups. You got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Benedictine motto is Ora et Labora.
Correct.
And so that kind of plays into what you just talked about. There seems to be a pushback into doing manual labor these days. What is the benefit of a man digging his shovel into the ground? What is the benefit of a man doing manual labor? How does that relate to the spiritual life and the good of his soul?
I think manual labor ties into reality. If you're doing data entry, data on a computer is infinitely manipulable. You can make the results you want, and everyone knows that. If you're an electrician or a plumber, you change out a light socket. You go over at the end and you hit the switch. The light goes on or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, you didn't do your job. You got to do it again. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. Doesn't matter if the light being off is bad for your self-esteem, whatever. I don't care. The light's not on.
And neither does the light. It also
the light doesn't care either. Right. In other words, but that introduces you into a bigger reality, something I'm part of, a bigger thing, the physical workings of electricity. And when you can understand something and you can master it, that's very interesting. But in order to understand, we have to stand under. I am subject to the laws of electricity. I enter into a bigger world than me, and I become something bigger. I'm not manipulating electricity. Rather, I'm using forces.
Yeah.
I can work forces. I can fix stuff. And I think Matthew Crawford pointed out very well. He said, if you can fix stuff, you are an affront and a threat to the throwaway society. Mm. The world does not like men who can fix things because you are a threat to them. You are not dependent on the system. You can withdraw You can tell them to get lost. They don't like that. You can tell the throwaway society, I don't need you. They don't like that. Manual work as an entrance into reality and into a bigger reality, I think. And we need that.
Certainly, it's part of, as men, this is part of our nature. And if it's something, because of that, if we're neglecting it, then we won't be, we're not be living a fulfilled life. And that's going to play itself out in the way we're fathers.
Exactly, in your kids' lives.
Yes, exactly.
I just got one of the monks just handed me this really great book just a week ago. Conor Gallagher.
He's the president of TAN Books.
CEO of TAN. He's got 16 kids. He wrote a book called How to Raise Blue-Collar Kids in a White-Collar World with Grit and Grace. Just the title alone. It's a small book, but the title alone should suck us in. I've been reading through it, and I'll use this stuff for training novices.
Nice. Did you have it? Is it in your gatehouse?
I'm not sure. I don't work at the gatehouse.
Yeah. You guys have a really good bookstore.
But the monk who runs the bookstore is the one who handed it to me. So
okay, so
that's
odds are good.
Promising.
You might find it.
So why is that? Why do you read a book for the domestic church, fatherhood and domestic church, to train your novitiates?
Because grace builds on nature. And a lot of kids are coming from a world where they haven't been in touch with nature. It's like, how can you read the gospel if you don't know what a sheep is? Or if you've never been in a boat on a lake in a storm? Or if you don't know what it is to make bread, putting yeast into bread until it's leavened? You can't read the gospel. Even postulants coming to a Benedictine monastery are away from nature. You have to know what a father is, or else you can't understand the gospel. I remember a friend of mine told me a story. It was a friend of a friend. It was a girl who was teaching at a middle school, and she decided, it was in the East Coast, she decided to take her 8th grade students to a sheep farm. Just to have them watch sheep. And she said, she didn't make any comments, she just let them observe. And after a couple hours, one of these 8th grade girls had enough. And she said, sheep are ugly and stupid and gross, and they eat out of their excrement, and it's so nasty, and I can't believe Jesus compared us with these. You're catching on, honey. You're catching on.
It is really too bad how good of an analogy that is.
Okay, so we talked about work, prayer, and aura et labora. Why is prayer hard? Why is prayer difficult to do? If prayer is something that is a relationship, it's what we use to relationship with God, with the triune God. Mm-hmm. Why is it difficult?
There's a number of reasons for that, on a number of different levels. One of the Desert Fathers was asked by his disciples, Abba, what is the hardest virtue? And the Abba said, forgive me, but I think with all the other virtues, if you keep at it, you will attain rest. But prayer is the most difficult, because as soon as the demons see you begin to pray, they instantly start attacking you. Because they know prayer unites you to God and puts down their power. He said, any virtue you practice, you will attain a certain proficiency. But prayer is warfare to the last breath. That's one answer. I would say also, just as men, it might become more naturally difficult to men than it does to women. Women have kind of a more natural entrance into the spiritual world in a way, whereas men, we're designed to work with material things. So we naturally kind of put things in material terms, perhaps too much. It's interesting. I would say one of the differences between men and women have this natural tendency towards spirituality. It's like a plane who easily gets off the runway. But because they're more emotional, oftentimes the flight is rockier because they listen more to their emotions than men do. Men, it's nearly impossible to get them off the runway. Most men would be satisfied or happy if life were like a beer commercial. At least until you're like 35 and you realize, no, what am I doing? It's nearly impossible to get men off the ground with prayer. But if you get them off the ground, the flight is much smoother than it is for the average woman. Because it's just more, I don't care what I feel like. I feel like trash, but I pray anyway. It's like going to work. I feel like trash, but I got to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I need to pray too. And prayer is part of that, defending your family from the demons. Front line is prayer too.
Yeah,
Fasting
I mean, and there are many, many times, maybe even more often than not, it feels like work when I'm praying, So
Yeah.
I think...
Well, it should. It should feel like combat in a way.
Yeah.
People are shooting at you.
Yeah, I mean...
This is not,
Very few days when I wake up do I say, oh, I'm so excited to go pray right now. You know?
I mean, I know they got that stereotype about the monastery. The monastery is full of freaks who kind of, they have they got this inn, they go and they sit behind the cloister wall and they suck on spiritual lollipops. But that's not...
Do you have any?
You won't find those in the gatehouse. Not for sale at the bookstore.
That would be a popular item. Not going to lie. I would buy all of them.
We could fundraise.
Yeah,
you could build your monastery quick. But we've had issues with that in the past. We should not do that.
Yeah, you're right. It didn't go so well.
Dante didn't like that either. Yeah,
some people tried some things like that. So
Yeah.
it's good that we don't.
But, okay, so you're very intentional with liturgy.
Yes.
And liturgy is work at times.
Absolutely.
What is the relationship there?
Sometimes when monks enter, they expect to find this wonderful, light prayer experience type of thing. And they find out it's just work. Well, the Church teaches in Vatican II that the Church takes all of her energy from the liturgy, draws all her power from the liturgy. So if you think of the Church as a ship, or rather as an aircraft carrier, the liturgy is the boiler room. So I tell them, when the novices are not happy with prayer and choir, I say, gentlemen, we're here to shovel coal into the boilers of the church. Do you understand? It's not happy. It's not enjoyable. We're not, it's not like being a professional singer where the temperature is perfect on stage, humidity is perfect. The crypt can be, if you've been to our crypt in the winter, been to our crypt in the summer, temperature goes wah, 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 wah. Sometimes you feel good, you're sick, other guys are singing off. We got to keep shoveling coal, gentlemen. I don't care what you feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Go. Here's your shovel. Thanks for showing up. It's an honor to be here. None of us is worthy to be here.
Your liturgies that you guys, pray here at Clear Creek have a lot of obedience, okay? For me, my prayer life is everything that I have chosen for it to be.
Sure.
And it's on my terms, and I try to be faithful and consistent and do try to pick good things to do for my prayer life. But for you guys, it's something you have received.
Yeah, it's something, as you said, my prayer life is something I've chosen. I think for the monks, it's something that God has chosen for us, or that we've been chosen.
Yeah, so do you find that makes it more difficult or less difficult to persevere through?
I don't know. That's a good question. Some people find it very difficult. Depends on the personality as well.
Sure.
It's a wide variety. I mean,
Yeah.
people see 60 monks, they expect everyone's the same. No, they're radically different. It's like your kids.
Mm-hmm.
People say, oh, you have 6 kids or whatever. I bet they're all the same. No.
Right.
No.
No.
Some people naturally go to music. I don't. I'm not very musical, but this is what God wants me to do. So I do it. But you have to submit yourself to a regimen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about me, it's about the church. And we're here to serve something bigger than ourselves. Ultimately God.
And I think that level of obedience, we can learn a lot from that as we just step back and view the other aspects of our life, not just prayer, but you guys have received this tradition, and all men, we have received traditions throughout other facets of our life.
Sure.
And learning to be docile to those, I think, is a great catalyst for holiness.
Right. Yeah. We're not good in America at receiving and then transmitting. To receive what came before us from our ancestors and passing it on to the next generation. We need to rediscover that if our country has a future.
Is that because of individualism? Like, why is that?
Partly as you showed up in the U.S. as an immigrant, Ellis Island, you are who you say you are. Your name's Bob Smith? Great, you're Bob Smith. You read Alexis de Tocqueville, if you've heard of him. He was a French thinker, came over in the mid-1800s to study the U.S. prison system, but he ended up writing 2 volumes called Democracy in America. A number of interesting things, very interesting. I recommend you read it. But one of the things he said was that in America, you can be anything you want to be. Unlike Europe. In Europe, your father was a baker, you can be a baker, probably. In America, you can do anything you want to be. You can be anyone you want to be. He said, far from reassuring people, that terrifies them. There's no boundaries, there's no limits, there's no structure. And he said, it's very interesting. He says, America, and he's writing in the 1830s, America has one of the lowest rates of suicide, but one of the highest rates of insanity. And he thought that was linked. The individualism, leaving your past behind, self-made man, it's all about me. He said, that leads to insanity. I think that's what we're seeing in American culture today. You can be whatever you want to be. Yeah. You can be whatever gender you want to be. You can change it between the morning and the afternoon. What does that lead to? Insanity.
Yeah, so one of your vows is stability. One of the things that I've been thinking about, like why it's hard for us to pass on tradition, is because we actually don't have stability here. Because I can move wherever I want, whenever I want, across the U.S. Right at any point in time. Yeah. And there's a relationship between stability and tradition and passing on tradition that I think we've lost.
We've lost, and we're going to have to intentionally return to it. If you look at the family structure in the U.S. in the 20th century, you could say in the first half of the 20th century was the dispersion of the extended family. You know, one brother goes to Minneapolis, one brother goes to Chicago, one brother goes to Houston. You got the dispersion of the extended family in the first half of the 20th century. Second half of the 20th century, it was almost like the nuclear family had now lost its sandbags. The extended family is kind of like the sandbags for the nuclear family. And then when the sandbags are gone and the artillery starts to fall, then you're in trouble. And so we really saw the destruction of the nuclear family in the second half of the 20th century. But that extended family tradition, we're going to have to get something back. And it might be through local neighborhoods now, people moving together, and you're hearing about this, moving together and building neighborhoods, people who are intentionally Catholic as a way forward.
Yeah, I think that we have to choose what we want for our families, and you know, where just how important your neighbors are. Right. I could tell you, for Adam and I, we grew up together. We were best friends in kindergarten. And, you know, that's had a huge impact on our lives, just the fact that we had good friends.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be here without him, and he might be dead without me. I mean,
sure, sure. And I think anyone who made it to our age can say similar things like that. Like, if it weren't for him and him and him, man, I don't know where I'd be, but I don't like to think about it.
Yeah, just glad it was there, yeah. But we've had conversations with guys. I have had conversations with guys just this weekend, a lot about things we're talking about now, about stability and
sure.
You know, what kind of things that we want to provide and offer our family. You know, what we're talking about. What are you going to receive? What traditions, what goods do we want to give to our children? And I think that it's something that we just don't think about as a culture, culturally speaking.
Sure.
And I think that means we don't have a culture. If there's nothing to be handed on, then there is no culture. It's just like a blank plate, or, you know, I don't know what it is, but it's not a culture.
And you live for the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you have temporary relationships and temporary everything. Mm-hmm. Everything's disposable. We have disposable razors and disposable pens and disposable marriages. Everything's temporary and transitory. Never sign a contract you can't get out of.
That actually probably is wise advice, though. Just kidding.
That's not what your wife would say.
You're right.
So what would you say is, for the guys here, the guys listening to our show, they're striving for holiness. They desire to live the virtuous life. They desire to pray with their families. A lot of guys say, I'm in. I just don't know. I don't know how to move from being in to the application part. Like, what should I be doing? If you could give them advice, what would that look like?
One of the great ironies about the internet is there's so much bad stuff out there, but there's also so much good stuff out there. You can find a lot of helpful information and a lot of unhelpful information too. But like you were talking about earlier about fasting as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo. Men's groups, getting together, drinking and smoking and talking theology. Hey, full speed ahead. Becoming men of prayer, realizing I need to pray. That, you talk to, I think, veteran firefighters. I don't know if we have any here right now, but they'll tell you, I think, as recently as the 90s, you might go into a burning building without an oxygen tank. Because you're basically dealing with wood and paper on fire. Today, though, you've got all these new high-tech chemicals, plastics, composites, paints, and whatnot. You never go into building burning without your oxygen tank on because the atmosphere is so toxic. That's analogous to what we're experiencing now. The atmosphere in the world is so toxic. Prayer is our air tank. You can't go anywhere without it. And the demons are always trying to cut your hose or jerk your mask off or something like that. We have to realize the necessity of these things, that we just can't survive, and certainly our families can't survive unless the men step up. There's no way forward without this.
Do you think in some ways it gets overcomplicated in the minds of men, especially young men who are pursuing this, that really at the end of the day, holiness is simply about being a man? It doesn't mean that you have to be, on your knees for 2 hours,
right.
Just go through your day well, work hard.
Do what you can as best you can, the will of God as it manifests itself to
Yes.
you.
I mean, do you think...
Yeah. Some guys try to set up a perfect ideal, whereas there's a saying in France, the perfect is the enemy of the good. That sometimes you wait around, we need a perfect plan. No, just do something good. Mm-hmm. I think in Marine Corps boot camp for officer training, they teach you a good plan, violently executed now, is worth much more than a perfect plan tomorrow.
I like the idea of violently executed.
Now. Start.
Yeah.
Hit your knees.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to do, 20 decades of the rosary. Start with 1.
Uh-huh.
Start with 5. Realize how fearsome you become to the demons when you start doing things like this. A little bit of fasting.
Just in an ordinary way.
Yeah. Yeah. Ordinary way. Mm-hmm. And associate grace and nature in your kids' minds. I mean, when I was a kid, we used to go to this Redemptorist church in Idaho, and they had perpetual help devotions to Our Lady Tuesday morning, so we would usually go to Tuesday Mass. But Mom would always take us to donuts afterwards. So you start associating grace and nature when you're 8 years old, and you make these good associations. And that's part of what the Catholic Man Show, I think, is trying to do.
We are very pro-donut here on the Catholic Man Show.
And beanbag tossing over there. I mean,
yeah.
I haven't seen that in 40 years.
It's back.
Well, since you brought it up, Father, Dave and I actually lost for the first time in 3 years this year. I wasn't going to bring it up, but maybe just...
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah. But since you did bring up beanbag, we did have new winners this year, so we're so happy for you.
Yeah, we're really happy.
Yeah, for you guys.
I'm so proud of you guys.
But talking about, realistic, what do you go forward? I think that's one of the reasons, devotion to St. Joseph's taken off right now. Because there's a realistic man who doesn't have all the answers. I can't imagine having his vocation. Being married to the Immaculate Conception and the Incarnate Word is your son.
And losing him for a couple days.
Yeah, and...
It would be very confusing.
That would be stressful.
And somehow, he's thinking, I'm in charge?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm the only one touched by fallen nature in this family.
Yeah.
Objectively the worst.
Yeah. And, manual work, though. A quiet life of manual work with Our Lady. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do to fulfill your vocation. And our Lord did not even invent power tools. If you were God, okay, I got to be a carpenter for 30 years. What would you do? Well, as an American, you'd invent power tools, put all the other carpenters out of business.
Yeah.
From Egypt to Syria. No, just humble task. Keep going. He's redeeming the world in the carpenter shop, going like this: hand saw, hand plane.
Yeah,
manual work.
That is just so kind of confusing but mysterious to think about. Christ spent 33 years on the earth, and 30 of them were just doing that.
91%. 30 out of 33.
Yeah.
91%.
It's pretty. Yeah.
It's
kind of strange. He's here to like save people. It's like, I'm saving people just by being a carpenter today.
Right. But that's one of the tip-offs we might have the real religion, is because you read the myths. What do the gods do when they come down in the Greek myths?
Oh, right.
It's to fight wars and beat up guys and get women and all this.
Uh-huh.
That's just an adolescent fantasy. That's not the real God.
Right.
Whereas this one's different. 30 years of manual work in the carpenter shop.
Ending in getting crucified.
Yeah. This is interesting. This is not a Greek myth.
No.
No. But he spent that time having a well-ordered life.
Yes.
What is the relationship between order and peace?
Without order, there cannot be peace. And I think you know that examples from families you've heard about. The families where there is no order, there's no peace. Now, the words like order and authority, I know they have a bad ring in our ears. And that's one of the worst effects, I think, of the 20th century. That we hear the words like order, authority, we think of Nazi Germany. That's not true. Whereas, the ancients used to say, it's of the wise man to order. The wise man is the one who knows how to order his family, his business, his life, trunk of his car, whatever. Where there's order, peace can flourish. Peace is not just the absence of gunfire, but peace is the result of a well-ordered life and community.
Yeah, I think that order is one of the vocations of man. You just look at our nature.
Exactly.
Like a man's brain versus a woman's brain. We have things in nice, neat boxes, generally speaking.
Yes.
And it's just part of the way we're made to create and assemble order, know?
Yeah. Just from a biological standpoint, you look at the male body as compared to the female body. The male body, just look at it. It's designed, okay, what does it mean? Well, we've got a thicker muscular skeletal structure, higher center of gravity, more linear thinking. What's all that add up to? Well, put it briefly, work and war. We're designed to, and usually that means for the sake of one woman and these particular children. That's what the male body is designed for. It's not designed for this. This is a corruption of the male body. The male body is not designed, again, for atrophy. And yet, that's where we're ending up. But I think part of the irony is that why are all these guys falling for the video games? It's because you're not allowed to do anything real anymore. You can't make your own house. You can't make your own clothes. You're not allowed to build tree forts in your backyard because it's contrary to community covenants. You're not allowed to do anything. We don't even make our own babies anymore. They're made in test tubes for us. We can't do anything. And so men are naturally frustrated. So here comes the video game. Yeah, you can't make one real cherry tomato, but you can build a virtual city. You can save there's no wars worth fighting, but you can save the planet twice before lunch from alien invaders. And I think, why do video games appeal to young men? Because there's kind of that Adamic vocation in the back of his hand. Adam put order in the universe, in the garden. And video games kind of appeal but it's a demonic hook. It's a virtual thing. It's not real. But it's kind of a false answer to a real problem.
Yeah, I just love that, what you said about, of course, like Adam's, his job was order.
And even before Eve showed up.
Right.
Adam tended the garden. Work is not a fruit of the fall.
He's naming, he's categorizing and saying, you are this and you are not that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had an ability to penetrate things, to know what they were and apply the perfect word to it. He understood things and to work with it. And that's something women don't understand about men, is that Adam had a vocation before Eve showed up. Now, his job was not enough, but Adam tended the garden was the primordial first commandment. And he was doing that. And so men are in a way kind of divided between work and home life, and women don't understand this. Because Eve was created in the context of a relationship. She was brought straight to Adam, made from him. And so the women don't understand, like, why does my husband always want to go tinker with a lawnmower or build another deck or plant corn or fix stuff or make stuff or build stuff? And I tell them, honey, it's a good sign. It means that primordial Adamic vocation is still echoing in the back of his head somewhere. Adam, put order in the universe. Adam, make stuff, put stuff right. So I said, honey, it's a good sign when your husband wants to do that.
But then we see after 2 chapters in Genesis that we mess up, and we have sin, and sin darkens the intellect.
Yes.
Can you expound upon how sin darkens the intellect, specifically the vice of lust?
Well, man is designed partly to work with matter, to tend the garden. And then he's also, of course, designed for relationships. Now, it's one easy way of solving this seeming dichotomy is to reduce all things to one category. Reduce women to matter to be manipulated. So we take the woman who needs to be respected as a person, cared for, loved, seen as a co-partner called to glory in eternity, and we treat her as something to be manipulated, a piece of matter. And that it promises a certain ease. But we weren't made, see, this is the thing, we weren't made to have virtual relationships with the virtual women, or pixel relationships with pixel women, or plastic relationships with plastic women, but real relationships with real women. And yes, sometimes that involves real headaches. I don't deny that. But it's real. And one drop of the real is worth more than an ocean of the virtual, because the real is real. And we're called to be protectors of women, not exploiters. And generally a man will be one of 2 things. He'll either be a protector or a predator. Generally those 2 categories. I guess there's a 3rd category being called the weak men, but that's not very interesting. We're tempted by our fallen nature, by our darkened intellect and the malice in our will, to be predators rather than protectors. And so we betray our vocations as men. And it's very easy to do in today's context.
So when we do that, why is it that has a darkening effect on our intellect, and what will be the other consequences from that, darkened intellect? So there's like sort of self-abuse, if you want to think about it that way.
Yeah. A shrinking of the muscles of your soul, the atrophy of the muscles of your masculine soul, stupidity. You walk through the world, you walk through Tulsa, you see all the guys with no light in their eyes at all. And you want to say, buddy, I don't know what you're doing trying to get happy, but try something else. What you're doing ain't working. It's analogous. I don't know, I work with cattle sometimes. The bulls have no light in their eyes. They are stupid. The cows have more light in their eyes than the bulls do, if you've worked with cattle. You know what I'm talking about. You see that, just the dullness. The misunderstanding of the purpose of the body. Like, once you tell a young man, there's a reason you have a male body. And it's for protecting women, not for using them. They've never been told that before. Mm-hmm. You have your muscle structure. It's there for a reason, my friend. Not, whoa, I've never been told that before. That your body is part of you. It's not just your vehicle. It's not your car. It's you. And you can't just do what you want to with it, because it's part of you.
Yeah, and I think if you do that to women, and you start to view their bodies incorrectly, you will, of course, simultaneously begin to view your own body incorrectly. And a lot of this just comes back to the insanity that you mentioned already about a symptom of today.
But, if we can convince people or show them, your body has meaning. You're called to glory. And that's the meaning of the ascension of Christ, that Christ's story, as it were, doesn't end at the resurrection, but the ascension. He's called up to heaven in his human body to rule as God at the right hand of the Father, and to show us where we're all called to, in our bodies, after our resurrection on the last day. We're supposed to be in our bodies for all eternity, as men. And yeah, St. Thomas Aquinas says, you do rise in the body you've got. You will have a male body for all eternity. And women will have women's bodies for all eternity.
Mm-hmm.
The body is part of glory. It's not just a shell or a container that I shed when I die and my soul goes to heaven by itself. You know, the saints in heaven, St. Francis Xavier, for example. St. Francis Xavier is not in heaven. St. Francis Xavier's soul is in heaven. His body's on earth. He won't exist as such until the resurrection, when he gets his body back. Then you'll have St. Francis Xavier. Our Lord is in heaven. Our Lady is in heaven after the Assumption. It's a private opinion St. Joseph's body is in heaven. I happen to believe it myself. You don't have to believe that.
What about, like, Moses?
There's some mysterious stuff.
Yeah. We don't know everything.
Well, and then also, like, these vices will affect your imagination.
Yeah, they'll devastate your imagination.
And demons, and correct me if I'm wrong, demons can't, they don't make anything. They can only use and abuse things, right? They can't create images.
Right, but they can manipulate them.
They can manipulate them.
Yeah.
So, why is it important to have the custody of our imagination, and what role does the imagination play in prayer?
Imagination is very important in prayer. But it's first of all important to know where prayer happens. Prayer is the raising of the mind and heart to God, or we say intellect and will. That's a spiritual level. Demons can't go there. The intellect and will. Now, the imagination's on a lower level. It's material. With the memory, too. You know, if animals have it, it's not spiritual. You ever watch a dog dream? You know, you've seen dogs sleep and they dream. Yeah, that means they've got imagination and they've got memory. We do, too. And angels, good or bad, can penetrate those things and manipulate images, play with images, make hard things seem easy or easy things seem hard, acts of virtue seem impossible, vices impossible to escape, but they're playing with your imagination. And especially in prayer, we have to learn how to kind of calm the imagination, set it aside. And that goes back to prayer. Like, I don't feel like praying. Prayer is work sometimes. Are you trying to calm your imagination during the day, or are you overstimulating it all day long?
Right.
Because that'll affect your prayer life.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely. I saw a clip of Mother Angelica once who made that same point about addressing distraction in prayer. She said, well, you've been distracting yourself all day, all the time. Of course you can't focus. I mean, you think you're just going to be able to stop?
Yeah. But I think it's important also to realize God knows the struggles we modern men are up against. He knows the devastation we live in the midst of. And therefore, he's got to be preparing the graces for us to deal with that. One of those graces, I think, is total consecration to Our Lady, Louis de Montfort. That when you do total consecration, it's not just entrusting your merits to Our Lady. Some people treat it as kind of a lowest common denominator thing like that. You give her everything, including your memory, including your imagination, your faculties, your intellect, your will. And she goes through all those faculties and combs out the snarls. All the trash we've got in our memories and imagination. Stuff we never even wanted there, but it's there. What are we going to do with it? And it comes back at time of prayer. Turn to Our Lady.
Adam has a lot of that. So many of those. All the things you just named, it's a big problem for him.
That's why Our Lady's going to come help him.
That's right. I've already consecrated myself to Our Lady.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are remedies to these things. There are good masculine examples, men we can follow. St. Joseph. Or how about Blessed Stanley Rother? Mm-hmm. You know, how did he get to where he finally got to? Well, it's daily fidelity to working at the farm in Oklahoma, being a diocesan priest around here.
Right.
And then going to Guatemala and serving local people, serving the poor people, day in, day out, whether he felt like it or not. All these great examples being put before us. I think one thing is really important, they don't talk about this with Blessed Stanley Rother, but it's worth talking about. Do you understand that man went straight from a fist fight to the kingdom of God? He went from throwing punches to the beatific vision without a break.
Yeah.
And you remember how he died.
Yeah, they shot him.
But he had said previously, if they capture me, they're going to torture me for information. And I'm a priest. I know a lot of stuff about a lot of people, including stuff from the confessional, which I am morally bound as a Catholic priest to take a bullet before I open my mouth. I don't want to get tortured. Therefore, they will not take me alive. He had said that previously, and he lived that out. And they know he was throwing punches from the witnesses who heard it, and also from the cuts and scrapes on his knuckles when they found him dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, there's a man, straight from throwing punches to the beatific vision without a break.
Yeah.
There's a Catholic man.
Yes.
You should have him on your show.
I just named my youngest son Joseph Stanley. So, big fans in the Niles household. But there's, like, yes, it just gets me jacked up thinking about guys like him who look at their aggressor, who are armed or whatever, and they say, you know, we're going to kill you. And he says, maybe, but you will have to do it.
Yeah.
Because I am right here. You will have to kill me.
Yeah, and he was throwing punches in perfect charity.
Yeah, your threats? Right, that's
in perfect charity. You can't go to heaven without perfect charity. He went to heaven, therefore he had perfect charity.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Boom.
This is one of my goals, is to punch someone with perfect charity. Like,
hey, given the times we live in, you may get your opportunity. Careful what you pray for.
I know. God's will be done. But if the opportunity comes up, I'm taking it. In perfect charity, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Couldn't be otherwise.
Yeah.
Let's talk briefly just about silence and contemplation in a world that is very noisy.
Let's start this question off with just a moment.
A moment of silence.
Yeah. Okay.
Very
that was
good.
enough.
That was enough. Did you see how quick we are? Like we're in the secular world, Father. You like had not even breathed like one breath, and we're like, yep, that was good.
Whoa, that was hard. It was kind of tough for me. Didn't know if I was going to make it.
The heart rate is still going.
Yeah.
We need silence. We need to be able to digest our food. That's why we don't eat constantly. And same thing with information coming in. It's always coming in off our phone. We can't digest it. And it tweaks our minds. Maybe you know that the average attention span for a 15 to 24-year-old, I think, is now 8 seconds, whereas a goldfish is 9 seconds.
That's hilarious.
Ouch. Yeah.
What are we doing? Somebody said, how much wisdom have we traded for knowledge, and how much knowledge have we traded for information? Now, as men, we're not called to be informed men. To some extent, maybe. We're called to be wise men. I think one of the documents of Vatican II talked about something, I can't remember which one, but it said, for the future of the world is much endangered unless wiser men are forthcoming.
Yeah.
There's an understatement.
Yeah.
How do we seek wisdom? Silence is part of it. And we have to consciously choose that. The good news is, when you shut off your phone, the rewards come pretty quickly. I've got a little brother, blood brother. He's a diocesan priest out on the East Coast. Teaches he was chaplain at a Catholic high school, and he takes his kids to mission trips inner city in the East Coast in New Jersey for the weekend. So he's 16, 17-year-olds, and these are spoiled kids, have everything. He says the first thing I do on the weekend, I take away their cell phone. He says the good news is they turn back into human beings after 24 hours without their cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
That can be true for many of us, perhaps.
Yeah.
But we have to choose it. We have to deliberately choose it. My priorities. No, it's not checking my texts again.
But what about just in case? Just to check real quick.
There's nothing there worth knowing.
Yeah. Father, I have to say that I don't put myself in a different category than those young kids you're just mentioning.
Sure.
And it's like one of those things, I don't know how to,
okay.
I don't know if I could actually prudentially not have the device that I hate and love.
You might lose your job without it. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that would happen, but
Adam can check your emails.
Nobody knows what would happen.
No, that's already happened.
Nobody's ever done it.
He didn't return his emails.
No, that's true.
I am the one that has
I'm actually good, real good at not checking email.
I would say it takes a great amount of virtue to own a smartphone.
Thank you.
I'll let me say this. I'm a firm believer in background checks for firearm purchases.
Okay.
But the only background check I believe in is a signed statement from your wife saying you've done Exodus 90.
Oh.
That's the background check. I believe in a similar background check for owning a smartphone. you need a signed letter from your wife, parent, brother, sister. Yeah, Adam Niles has completed Exodus 90. Mm-hmm. He is therefore qualified to purchase a smartphone. Exodus 90, that's the background
I think
check.
if that was the case, we'd see marriage rates skyrocket.
Let's start right now.
If you couldn't have a phone. But, so Adam mentioned earlier that he and this group of friends that we come up here once a year, and I see it in myself. It's about 24 hours of being here and, like, being pissed that my phone doesn't work. Like, what's going on? And then those appetites have to settle down. You know?
You got to go through withdrawals.
Yes, I mean, really.
There is a withdrawal.
And it's a 24-hour period-ish that all of a sudden when I'm there in the church praying with you guys, it's like, I'm here. I'm checked in.
If you've got a problem with alcohol and when you quit, you got to go through withdrawals. Mm-hmm. You got a problem with marijuana, you got a problem with cocaine, whatever. I don't care, heroin. If you got a problem with dopamine, you might have to go through withdrawals too.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Totally. So anyway, I see that in myself,
mm-hmm.
and it's something that, like when you mentioned Exodus 90, the same thing happens to me then. In fact, this last year, I told Adam, day one, I'm sitting at home. I was by myself. I cannot turn on the television. I can't even really do anything on my phone. And it's just like, what am I going to do? And I decided I'm going to sit here and do nothing. I'm just going to lean in to the anxiousness or whatever it is that I'm feeling, and I'm just going to let it pass. I'm not going to, because I had this temptation to, what can I fill my time with? Mm-hmm. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Right. I'm actually going to go through this withdrawal.
Good.
I'm just going to let it happen instead of, delaying it by, maybe I could, find something productive to do, come up with some other thing. But
that's where manual work can play a big role too.
Yeah.
Having some kind of hobby,
mm-hmm.
woodworking, whatever.
Yeah.
Raising chickens, raising worms, whatever it takes.
Dr. Kyle Myers, who's out here, we have a little dovetail station over there teaching guys how to make dovetail joints.
Excellent.
Okay, I have 2 more questions. What's that? Are we?
We got to wrap it up pretty soon.
We got to wrap it up. Okay, here's my last 2 questions, and this one's very easy. When you get out of the monastery, which is not very often, I mean, you guys are cloistered monks, but when you get out of the monastery, is it just excessively loud to you?
A lot of times, yeah.
Like where it's like it's just kind of stimulus overload because there's just so much going on that you're not used to?
Yeah. To some extent. Even good stuff. I've celebrated the Chrism Mass, the cathedral here in Tulsa, past several years, and just the good music, organ, great stuff, but it's like sensory overload.
Mm.
Whereas monks kind of have to live in more silent environments to thrive. So.
Okay, so my last one would be what is it that happens in the monastery that you guys that we would be interested to know that that you could disprove, a notion that you could disprove, or what is it that you guys do in there that you'd be you guys would actually be shocked this is what we do?
You mean regular stuff?
Yeah, just regular, because we don't know what happens in there, everything is a mystery until our imagination is what are they doing? What are they? It's
do you have some invented form of currency that
why are
you
they
used to gamble with?
It's called charity.
Yeah.
It's the biggest gamble ever.
It's an eternal gamble.
You've never played with these stakes before. I don't know. I'd have to think about that question.
Do you guys have a jokester in the monastery? Is that something that you or a guy who always makes you guys laugh?
Yeah, it takes a variety of personalities to get through, but yeah, lighthearted people are a big help.
Yeah.
A lot of melancholics kind of are drawn to monasteries.
Uh-huh.
To have a few sanguines around is always interesting.
Well, Father Morey, thank you so much for joining us. This has just been awesome. Give our best to Father Abbott.
Will do.
Just so appreciative of being able to come out here for year after year and just be with you guys.
Pray with
get
you.
to pray with you and get to have an incredible space to host this camp out.
Thanks for coming out. You're always welcome.
And they can donate by going clearcreek.org. Clear Creek, your website.
I don't know.
There's a website.
We have a website. I don't know that I've seen it. I don't have internet access.
You know what? It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's doing a good job.
You can tell me about it.
So you just wouldn't expect the Benedictine monks to have like a great website. You
guys do.
You do.
So and they can make donations there to help build your church.
Sure, if you want to.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.